Bitcoin is not a currency. But here's why it doesn't matter, and here's why I still believe it's going to 10,000. First of all, here's why Bitcoin isn't a currency, and neither is Ripple or Ethereum or Litecoin or Dash or any other crypto quote-unquote currency. Let's back up and talk about what a currency is. A currency is something used to buy and sell things. Plain and simple. Cryptocurrencies aren't really used for that. Now, they're touted as being used for that, and for sure you can buy things from thousands of people online or even in the real world with Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin actually used to buy and sell things? Not really. You can't pay the rent with it, you can't pay your employees with it, you just can't do a whole lot with Bitcoin that you can't do with dollars and cents much more easily. Cryptocurrencies are never going to be currencies. They're just not as good as the real thing. They cost more, they're more of a hassle. It's just not feasible. So if you want to understand cryptocurrencies and why they're going much higher, you need to understand who's buying them. Now I put these into three groups. The first group is the collectors. Within this falls a few different subgroups. You have the true believers, you have the anti-government crowd, and you have the tech nerds. What's common in all these groups is that they're not using cryptocurrency as a currency, but as a collectible. It's something they want to have. To a lot of the collectors, Bitcoin is like a fidget spinner for an adult. It's like a Pokemon card. It's something they want to have, they want to show off, they want to talk about. They go to dinner parties and tell their friends, oh yeah, I've got Bitcoin. This crowd isn't going to go away. You know, it's slowly growing, these communities are growing, and that's making Bitcoin more popular. And these are also the people who are at the vanguard of publicizing Bitcoin. They talk about it online, they tell their friends about it, and those circles are growing and growing, and that's going to push up Bitcoin. Because these people buy and they don't sell, or they rarely sell. They're not coming in and out of the market. They're not really using the currency. They're just buying it to have a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. The second group of cryptocurrency users are criminals. Plain and simple, Bitcoin is an amazing tool for criminals. Now, to understand that, you have to put yourself in the mind of a criminal or in the shoes of a criminal. Let's say you have sold millions of dollars of drugs, and now you have that in an offshore account. Or let's not even say you're in the drug business, you're just evading taxes. You've traded Forex in an offshore account, and your money is in the Cayman Islands, and you want to get it back into the United States or Europe or wherever you may live because you've been evading taxes. Now, to understand how big that market is, let's look at a couple of IMF numbers. The black market worldwide is something like 7% of global GDP. Global GDP is around $80 trillion. So let's call that around $5.5 trillion is in the black market. On top of that, if you look at the offshore industry, that's around $21 trillion of money just parked offshore, most of it trying to aggressively avoid, if not illegally evade, taxes. Bitcoin is perfect for criminals. Now, back to our example. Say you're that person who has millions of dollars offshore. Well, that's great, you're a millionaire, but good luck doing anything with it in an advanced developed economy. If you want to wire that to your account in the United States, you're going to get a knock on the door. There are going to be some serious questions about where that money came from. Or you can try to haul it back into the United States in a bag of cash, but $1 million is actually a lot more than you think. It weighs like some 25 pounds. A couple $1 million, you're going to need a very big suitcase, and there is again a very good chance that somebody is going to be asking some questions. If not at the border, again, you run into the problem of where do you put the money? You're going to put it in the bank, or you're just going to buy houses and cars with cash? Again, sooner or later, someone is going to be asking questions. Enter Bitcoin. It's perfect. You buy millions of dollars of Bitcoin, put it on a thumb drive, go home, and sell it there. Or put it in an exchange and have it deposited into your account in the United States. Simple. Now you're home, they've put money into your account. Yes, you're going to get questions. They're going to say, how do you suddenly have $1 million or $2 million? You say, hey, 5 years ago, somebody told me about Bitcoin. I bought $5,000 worth. Now it's worth a couple million. Easy. You're off. That's an airtight alibi. All kinds of criminal activity can use Bitcoin because it's much easier than using the global financial system, which is regulated. It's watched. Anonymity is why criminals want to use Bitcoin, and it's great at it. Now let's get back to the numbers. Bitcoin right now, the total market cap, or the amount of all Bitcoin added up together in dollars, is around 40 billion. 5.5 trillion in the black market, 21 trillion in offshore funds. Take 1/100th of that and put it in Bitcoin, and you've doubled it, tripled it. Add into that a tiny portion of global offshore money parked into Bitcoin, and you can have Bitcoin rise tenfold from here. And that's only scratching the surface of what illegal activity could do for Bitcoin. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest factor. But maybe not, because number 3 is huge. The third person who's buying Bitcoin is the speculator. Now, this has a lot in common with the collector, but it's purely a financial transaction. Buying Bitcoin has never been easier. A couple years ago, it was still pretty complicated to get in and out of Bitcoin. The costs are going down. The access is much easier. It's much safer to buy and sell Bitcoin. It's still expensive. It's still a little bit unsafe, but that's coming down all the time, and it's encouraging speculators to get involved. Of course, the higher price does the same thing. I mean, speculators love nothing more than something that's rising in price. So Bitcoin, now at $2,500, it was almost at $3,000 this month, and speculators are pouring in. The next big thing to happen is going to be Bitcoin ETFs. ETFs are super easy to buy and sell, and mass money can go into ETFs. You have to remember that speculators aren't like the collectors who might be putting $1,000 into Bitcoin. These are real money buyers and sellers, some of them, who have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that they're prepared to put to work in Bitcoin on the belief that it could double or triple. Speculators are going to be huge for Bitcoin. Now, a lot of these people who would be collectors, who would be involved in Bitcoin, are turned off because some of the difficulty in accessing the market. That's about to change. Costs are going down, brokers are getting involved, and Bitcoin ETFs are coming. I believe this latest run up from 1,000 to 3,000 is in large part a front run of ETFs coming to Bitcoin and of easier access to Bitcoin. And when this access does come and these ETFs roll out, I think that's easily when Bitcoin cracks 5,000, if not 10,000. The fourth factor, which I haven't talked about, is the X factor, because I'm not sure it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing, but I know it's a big thing. That is anonymity, and that is criminal activity. Now, we talked about these things before, but it's good for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but it's also potentially very, very bad. You've probably heard about the latest string of cyber attacks. Now, we're talking about Bitcoin, but we're also talking about cyber attacks and why they've been rising so much. Well, one has a lot to do with the other. Now, you could cyber attack and hack computers for at least the last 10 years, probably 20 years. The problem was holding them ransom was pretty much impossible. You could hack into a computer, you could lock it down even more easily than you can today. But if you wanted to hold someone ransom, what were you going to do? Have them wire you money to your bank account? You're gonna be caught in a second. Send you money by PayPal? Same thing. There was no way to hold someone ransom. Bitcoin is perfect for that. And I believe we are only scratching the surface of what's to come in terms of ransomware attacks that are going to be funded and paid in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. That anonymity has spurred the ransomware industry, and it's going to blow up. The attacks so far are small scale, and they have still hit hard. It's only a matter of time until a massive cyber attack that's ransomware related is going to hit the world, and it's going to hit the United States, it's going to hit developed markets, and it's going to cause problems. And that's when governments are going to step in. The US government, with a wave of the hand, can take Bitcoin out of the financial system. It can ban any transactions whatsoever with any company that's doing anything with Bitcoin. It can shut Bitcoin down. Now, you could still trade Bitcoin to Bitcoin, and there will always be pockets to trade it. But if you take out the people who want to use Bitcoin to access money, like real money speculators, like criminals, well, now you just have the collectors. And I think Bitcoin becomes much smaller in that situation. But I can also see the argument that if the government shuts it down, it makes it even more attractive. And maybe there's a way around that. Maybe the American government isn't as strongly in charge of the financial system as I believe. What do you think? If the US government or another government decided to shut down Bitcoin trading, would that hurt the price or would it help the price? Let us know in the comments. Let us know at ForexLive.com, and let us know what you think about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and where they're headed. For Forex Live, I'm Adam Button.